just for the plot. And I want to say thank you so much for giving us your time for the next 1.5 hours. I really do appreciate, and we really do appreciate. And I want you to tell us, where are you watching us from? So if you're watching us from Tanzania, please let us know, where are you currently watching us from, and what do you want to know at the end of this session? We will have a few polls running throughout the session, and mine is just to say, please make sure you engage and interact with the polls as many times as possible. If you see them pop up, please engage with them during the session, ask questions. But in the meantime, please let us know in the chat, in the Q&A, where are you, actually in the Q&A section, where are you watching us from, and where are you listening to us from, and what are you looking to gain from this session? I can see my speakers are excited. Even me, I've never had speakers this excited, like they're ready. They want to expel all the knowledge they have. So I'll give us a few more minutes for everyone to join, and we will start the call at exactly 7:10. So if you have a friend who was supposed to join us, please let them know we have started. If you have a colleague who had said, I'll join you, please let them know we will start at exactly 7:10. But in the meantime, let us know where you're watching us from, and we'd be very excited to actually hear from you. So karibuni sana, and see you at 7:10.
Now help you put those things and implement them. And yeah, then that helps your business to grow and scale. So we deal with startups, businesses that are growing, and you will learn later, and even those that are scaling internationally. And Sandbox is also an international brand. We have about 13 partners around the world, in the US, Europe, and across Africa, just to help businesses with that conversation of growing and scaling. So karibuni sana, looking forward to the conversation.
Hey, I'm glad I now know which company Joram works for right now, at least for this webinar. I know which company he works for, for today. So yeah, thank you so much, Joram. And I love what you've said about, ideally, the goal is here just to understand how can we support entrepreneurs better, and the role that Sandbox will be playing in this pathway. And lastly, to the lady with the money, or the lady with the means to get us to the money, Doreen. So Doreen, hi, Doreen.
Hi, Wendy. And thanks for that clarification, because when you say the money, I'm going to start getting lots of, M-Pesa requests from the audience. So thank you for clarifying that I'm the lady that can connect you to the money. Also, yes, hoping to get money to lend at some point in the future.
Yes, so Doreen, just a quick intro about you and what you do at Insight Hub would be really great, just to set the ground for what we want to discuss for the day-to-day.
Okay, so my name is Doreen Zaki. Like I had mentioned earlier, I am an investor readiness expert at Sandbox. And what that means is I help prepare businesses for investors. I have been playing this role for, I think, over 15 years now, working with businesses to help them raise capital and how you can position yourself better so that you can be able to attract funding from whatever investor you're speaking to, whether it's your uncle who's funding your business, or an impact venture capital fund, or a private equity fund, or a debt funder. So my role is to just work with businesses to position them well for capital.
Doreen, you mentioned 15 years. 15 years is a long time to be in business. Can I call you a gwiji at this rate?
Absolutely. 15 years is a very long time. I have seen many things on these streets, so I'm happy to talk about it in more detail as we progress in the webinar.
Now, in this call, I know a guy. When they say, "Do you know a guy of small businesses?" I know a guy. At this point, I think what Sandbox does is like it's low-key therapy for entrepreneurs. Like, come, I hold your hand, let's work this journey together. And then there's the gwiji, you'll come with your problems and have some money, but I need you to work for your money a little bit. That's Doreen. So I want to say thank you so much, guys, first of all, because the conversation we're having today is actually very important, because we need to put in the work to actually get the money that Doreen has in terms of investing, in terms of any money that you're looking for. Could be capital, could be raising money to pay debts or anything. There's work you need to do, and that's the role that ISBI and Sandbox will be playing here to lead you to actually Insight Hub Africa. And I think I want to hand over to Doreen just a little bit, because now there's a problem and what the solution is. So Doreen, over to you. There's a lot, but I know you've narrowed it down for us to understand better what the problem is and what the solution is. So Doreen, over to you.
Okay, so As a business, even as you're thinking about looking to raise capital, it's very important to, first of all, and when I say I help prepare businesses for capital, a lot of businesses are of the view that a lot of investors are like the Shark Tank, where you go with a great story and then you go and pitch and they're like, oh my gosh, I love you, here's $10 million. Actually, in reality, it does not work like that. You can't pitch your story and get money. Well, unless you're in one of these pitching competitions. But even then, how it actually works is you actually need to have numbers. You need to have a story that you're telling in the form of a pitch deck. You need to have numbers. You need to have a good understanding of your numbers. That's your unit economics. You need to have a good understanding of how your numbers are going to grow. That's a financial model. You need to have numbers of how your business has been doing. Those are management. Those are captured in management accounts or sometimes audited financials. So let's move to the first problem that a lot of us see in the market. Wendy, if you can just. So the first problem when it comes to raising capital that businesses face is not having sufficient systems built to scale. What does that mean? It means that there's a weak sales strategy. So when I talk about a weak sales strategy, it means, you want 10 million shillings, but you don't know how you're going to get your customers into your business. That's a problem. You need to have a clear sales strategy. How are you getting customers for your business? Or it can be the wrong team in place. It could be inefficient operations that can't absorb growth capital. So even before you think about asking for money, how exactly are you going to spend it? Do you understand your sales process? Do you have the right team? And do you have efficient operations? Let's move on to the next point. So the other important thing is, do you have proper governance structures? So a lot of us entrepreneurs, and I understand it, we're in survival mode. So the business account is your personal account, is your medical account, is, you pay your mama mboga from this account, you pay for DSTV with this account, you pay your supplies with the same account. No, that shows that there's weak governance structures in your business. It means that you are the one who's making decisions. What a funder wants to see is that there's prudence in your business, which means that business money comes into the account and your expenses are paid from a business account. So you don't mix your personal and your business in the same space. Let's move on to the next point, Wendy. So poor record keeping. You say you want 10 million shillings. You say you want 10 million shillings. Your business has been doing 3 million shillings a year, and your business has been doing 3 million shillings a year, but you don't have the records to show for it. It's important for you to track your numbers, understand how much money is actually coming in. So a lot of entrepreneurs, in my experience, understand the money that is coming in, but there are quite a large number who don't understand the amount that is leaving. So you have to track everything, every single border payment that you make, every single logistic payment that you make, every time you purchase an item. So I find that entrepreneurs, they track the larger expenses in the business, but then they forget about the small, tiny things in between. And that's very important because you need to understand, is your business actually making money? And if your business is not making money, then you should not be looking for capital. You should be understanding, why is my business not making money first? Once you understand where your business is, then you can be able to look at look for capital. The other problem that we see is missing decision-ready documentation. I mentioned life is not like Shark Tank. You don't go and just pitch an idea and within 5 minutes someone wants to throw $1 million down your throat. No, it doesn't work that way. You actually need to have documentation. You need to have a pitch deck. Our pitch deck talks about, do you understand the market that you're in? Do you understand the problem that you're solving? Are you clear on the solution that you're providing? If you say, look, I sell tomatoes, that's great, but what solution are you providing? There's 10,000 people who send tomatoes, literally, these 10,000 mama mbogas. What's different about you? So you need to be able to have, you're very clear on why your tomatoes are different. And I like to use tomatoes as an example because apparently tomatoes can be grown anywhere, even in sewage. So if you're able to say, look, I'm different because I don't buy my tomatoes from these sewers in Kibera. I have organic product and I can guarantee that my organic product comes from wherever, you need to be very clear about how you're getting your target market and what it is that you're doing. So that's what a pitch deck does. It tells the investor, this is what I'm doing. I'm very clear on my product. This is how I'm going to grow. And this is where the business is going to take me if I get 10 million shillings. A financial model. You can't just ask for 10 million shillings. How exactly are you going to use that 10 million shillings? And more importantly, how will that 10 million shillings translate? How will that translate to 20 million shillings? Are you able to pay the 10 million shillings back? A financial model will be able to take you through all of that. And so the final thing is you can have some businesses who actually have, it's a really good business. It's well structured. You might have a pitch deck, you might have financial models, but you don't know where to look for funders. And the funders, in fact, unfortunately, private equity and venture capital funds are like lawyers. They're not allowed to advertise. Did you know that, Wendy? They're not allowed to advertise. So you'll never know who they are because they're not allowed to advertise by law. And so it's very hard to find out. Exactly. How are we supposed to know who they are?
That's the other question. How am I supposed to know who is giving money? If, because I'll give an example. I've seen there's a big bill. I won't even mention maybe the owner, maybe the people of that company are on this. But there's a big billboard I've seen somewhere along the road, and they are called Dash Associates. And I know that they give money. Is that allowed? Ama they're just doing it with the risk of tusishikwe?
They're called Dash Associates. What was on the billboard exactly?
A tree.
Remember?
Like a tree.
They say come and you can. So even if maybe what they can't do is they can't say, come to us, we will give you money. They can't do that.
So it's just like lawyers, they can't advertise.
You can't advertise. No, you can't.
So how are we supposed to know about it?
Exactly. And anyway, we'll get into that in more detail. So let's talk about the solution to this problem, and then we'll just get straight into the rest of the webinar, so we don't take too much time in this, at this spot. And Wendy, if you can just pull up all the solutions, so I can go through them real quick.
I think we're good, Doreen.
Okay, I'm just waiting for them to load. Okay, so and the reason we have some important people on this call is the first thing that a lot of businesses need to have is education. How do you build, like, what I mentioned before, how do I build the right systems? How do I build the right team? How do I do my numbers? How do I hire the right finance person? How do I do my bookkeeping? How do I get proper governance structures? How do I put together what documentation is it that I need? Sometimes as a business owner, it's okay not to know everything. In fact, none of us know everything. And I think that the businesses that I see, even when I sit with successful CEOs, because I sit with people who are pre-revenue, which means they have not even started generating revenue, they just have a good idea, to businesses that are raising over $50 million. And what I see in CEOs that are very successful is they are always learning. They're always learning. So what I'd say to a young business owner or someone who's, just in their business journey, read books, go out, seek education, always build your capacity, because what I always say is the business will always look like the leader. Your business will always look like your leader. So whatever gaps you have, if you don't have the right knowledge or the right team, your business will have those gaps. And so education is very key. The other thing is, who's on your advisory board? Who are you speaking to? Do you have a marketing expert? Do you have a legal expert? Do you have a tech expert? Do you have an investor readiness expert? Speak to the right experts. The other thing is, do you have tech enabled systems and structures? How are you keeping your records in your business? It's so for example, the numbers of the business, and I'll reiterate this over and over again so that people can understand the importance of numbers. It's important for you to track your numbers. It's the same way you go to a hospital. If there's something wrong with you, you won't know what's wrong with you until you do lab tests. So your numbers are like your lab tests. Yeah, your numbers will tell you if your revenue has not been growing. And if you track your numbers, you'll be able to see things like, wait, my revenue hasn't been growing. Wait, my costs have been going up, but my revenue isn't growing up. Wait, I'm becoming less profitable over time. Wait, the numbers tell you a story. So it's very important. So the numbers are like lab results. It'll tell you whether you're healthy or whether you're not healthy. But if you don't do lab checks, if you don't do body checks, you won't know that you're sick. It's the same way if you don't have business numbers, you won't know how well your business is, or you won't be able to diagnose the problem. So numbers are very key. And then you need, when it comes to producing documentation, pitch decks, financial models, all of that, it's important to have support to help you build that. And AI is not a solution, guys. I know I get so many pitch decks off of AI, and I get so many financial models off of AI. No, In fact, AI builds the worst financial models. And anyway, I'm building an app that will help people walk through their pitch decks and financial models. And I'm happy to discuss that with anyone who's interested in funding. I'll talk about that towards the end, but have proper modeling. And then the other thing is you need to have a platform that's able to tell you, based on the information on your business, this is who can fund you. Not every business can access every funder. So it's good to understand, this is where my business sits, who can fund me. So just before we get into it, it's good to understand who funders are. Funders have things called investment mandates. It means that it's not like I said, it is not like Shark Tank where they decide, oh, I like how you look, I'm going to give you $10 million. No, they have an investment mandate whereby they sit with the team and they discuss, this is who we are going to invest in. If we're going to invest in trade businesses, that is what they decide they're going to do. If they're going to invest in agri-businesses, they will only invest in agri-businesses. So it doesn't matter whether you have a fantastic pitch about your fintech. If the company only invests in agri-businesses, they will only invest in agri-businesses. So it's good to understand what funder is likely to fund your business.
Okay, so I have just had that number one, we need to go back to school. Number two, we need to, keep better company as we run the said businesses that we are running. And number three, we need to actually be very accurate with keeping our records, because that's the only way we're getting money. So I know Doreen mentioned something about education as one of the solutions. And I want to just invite Christine, because for this, ISBI is actually like our educational partner for some of these things. So I want to invite Christine, because what they're doing is actually very, very important to ensure that when you go to Doreen to say, okay, nataka pesa, she won't say no, because you're actually well educated. So over to you. What do you guys do at ISBI? Like now for the entrepreneur, what are you guys doing to actually support the entrepreneur?
Thank you. And thank you, Doreen, for putting us as the first type of solution that is there in case you're looking for funding. What we really try to do, and the type of entrepreneur we try to serve, is the type of entrepreneur that has a lot of potential, but is not yet at a point where their businesses are thriving, where they're really, where they've created something sustainable that grows even without involvement in everyday business of the founder or CEO. So I'm sure that if we would ask now in the chat what type of idea, like what made you start your business, I'm sure that many of you would say things along the lines of, I've had this great idea. I just hired a few people who helped me get it running. I've made a lot of sales in the beginning. I hired more people to support the process. But now I'm at a stage where, honestly, I don't know whether to go left, right, or center, because the structures I need to really grow are not in place. And that's where we try to come in. So what makes ISBI different from say, our larger family, Strathmore University, is that we don't have academic programs. We are not an academic institution. We really try in all of our programs to offer very implementation-driven solutions to the entrepreneurs that come to us. So no matter which one of our programs you choose in the end, after every session, you'll go home with something in your hands that you can immediately implement in your business. So going back to that entrepreneur who had a great idea, who hired the first people, made a lot of sales, hired more people, and now they're somehow stuck. What we do is we try to help through our programs to put a system into place, to put strategies into place that now help you to just have the basis ready for a business that can sustainably and in a healthy manner grow on the long run. We try to serve entrepreneurs from early stage to growth stage. So even we do have programs for the type of entrepreneur who might only have had that first idea, hasn't really started a running business yet, all the way to entrepreneurs that make like 1 million monthly, but still is trying to seek to put that structure in place to understand their finances. As Doreen has said, it is extremely important for a business to, in a healthy way, grow and to be ready for funding, for you guys to know your numbers. You don't need to be an accountant, you don't need to be a marketer, you don't need to be a business strategist, but you need to have a basic idea of all of those different aspects that are relevant for a business to survive on the long run. My colleague Trish, who's also in this call, she will give you more details on our like all-round program, the Advanced Entrepreneurship Program, in a few slides a bit later. So I won't talk too much about the individual programs we have. But what I can say is that we try to serve entrepreneurs at every stage of the growth journey up until they would officially not be considered small anymore.
So maybe just Christine, just to ask, what is your consideration of small?
So here, just for the sake of this call and for the sake of clarity and for all of us to be on the same page, I'm using the definitions by the Kenyan government. That last MSME draft policy, I think they published it last year, where they defined small businesses that have like up to 50 employees, that have up to a 5 million turnover. So that's kind of where ISBI stops and where now Strathmore Business School would take over.
Okay, 50 employees. Hey. So someone I know in this school who has 100, but we're not gonna go there.
I know. Here in Kenya, we often talk about, like, if we say small business, we mean businesses with up to like 10 employees, 15 employees, 20 max. But the official definition of your government is actually up to 50.
Okay. So now there's the education part, but there's also the education is great, and it's great when you go to school, but the practicality of it, application, no falls under advisory. And I just want to ask Joab, just to give a highlight of what role Sandbox is playing in all this and how we actually do it. Because when someone here sounds like, hey, is that like a box with some sand? What do you guys do? Like, I'm looking for clarity in terms of how are we doing this actually?
Okay, thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you for everyone who's joined. I'm not sure the chat function is working, but feel free to communicate with us through the Q&A section. For Sandbox, I'll come from the point of view that a lot of us entrepreneurs in Kenya today are probably, sometimes we are the first or the second in our families to have started a business. And so you find that when you start that journey of building a business and now starting to go through the management challenges of what does it take to structure this business? Because a lot of us entrepreneurs start from the practical side of, I'm a technical expert in something, maybe I'm a techie, I understand agriculture very well, I understand organizing events, I understand healthcare very well. So you find that a lot of us come with a lot of education and experience from the point of view of being able to deliver the technical expertise of the problem that we are solving. But not too many of us are trained on the side of how is a business structured, what does it look like, what is strategy, what is, marketing, what is digital marketing, what is all these things. And you can find that these things very quickly overwhelm an entrepreneur, especially because you have a very good product, because you've put a lot of love and care into how you're building the product. So people want it and they start coming in large numbers. They refer them, their friends, they refer other people to come to your business. And suddenly you find your business has grown beyond what you can manage as a single individual. You need to hire people. How do you structure the roles of how those people come into your business? How do you recruit them? Doreen talked a lot about numbers, and this is something that tends to just overwhelm a lot of people. So at Sandbox, what we've done is that we've brought together just about 30 experts that can help you to put all these things together. These experts are entrepreneurs themselves. They've built a business in their area of expertise, so they understand what it is like to hire, to market, and to do this kind of things. And so you'd find people at Sandbox who really empathize with your journey. We are the kind of people, when you come and tell us it is 25th and I have no money in my account, and yet I have salaries to pay, and I don't know what to do. You will find people who have been through that journey. They understand what your journey is like, but they have been able to overcome some of these challenges in the past. And so we have people who can help envision what that journey of growth is, how you can, cater for these challenges. If you're a Kenyan and the city council has knocked on your doors and told you don't have fire extinguishers and you don't have your certificate displayed and these kind of things. I mean, these are challenges we've all been through. Many times by the time KRA or somebody knocks on your door, you did not even know that you needed to have some of these things, but we definitely have experts who can do this. So maybe the next slide, just in terms of helping you envision that growth and just find the right person who can help you put it together. Big companies have big consulting firms that can help you, put these things together. But where does the entrepreneur go? And so I'll tell you for sure, Sandbox is the place where you can find somebody who can do these things at a cost you can afford. You can see, I talked about 30-something experts. So we have all the different experts. We categorize them in something we call engines. It's very interesting because this is actually a global innovation. It's nothing like this exists anywhere else in the world except where the Sandbox is, where we bring together these different experts. They can just help you put your profile together, put your finances together, sort out your tax issues, your audits, your documents, your processes. And this just helps streamline your business, because I can tell you there's a lot of very good businesses in Kenya. But unfortunately, the financial system, which Doreen was talking about, whether it's banks, whether it's investors, whether it is, people who can put in money into your business, they want to see a structured business. They want to see a sales strategy and plan about how you're going to get those customers that will help you to, generate the kind of value that your investor is looking for. Or if it's you're borrowing debt, then you need, the kind of records that can show this business is actually making money. We understand our budgets, we understand our management accounts, we understand our profit and loss statements. And many times we are not trained in this. Like, so for some of these things, you need someone with a CPA background. And so what we have done is come up with packages that can just help you. If you're a small business, you're a startup, you're a growing business, how can you access these services in a way that you can afford? And how can you have somebody who's empathizing with your journey and just helping you put things in place? So, alongside ISBI, we sometimes say we are some of the best kept secrets in terms of all the questions you have as an entrepreneur. There's somebody with an answer of how you can put these things together. You don't have to do all of them at once, but you can just, answer these questions one by one, starting with the most crucial. If your business is in ICU and you do not know which direction to go, the experts can just help you put a plan in place of how can you fix things until you get to that place where your business is well structured. And what I'll tell people, because, if you look at maybe ourselves as Sandbox, if you're to go to our website, you'll see there's a whole board there. There's a management team. There's we've been through the process of putting all these things together, and you appear in front of an investor or a funder, and you have all these things in place, and they're able to tell you, okay, we can understand this business, we can see how it is doing, it is a credible institution. So building a structured business is not rocket science. It is just work, and it is a lot of work, but it is possible. And you can put, whether it's your technology, systems, your softwares that help you track how your business is doing. All these things are available, and they're available very affordably, from open source to, very structured systems that you can use in your business. And so, yeah, entrepreneurs should not feel like they're alone. There's a lot of help to just help them through that particular journey. And with the people on this call, it is structured in a way that is not overwhelming. And it is a journey that you can take until you get to the place where Sandbox has raised money to the millions, to the tune of millions. We've raised both commercial capital, debt capital, and also from people, who are like impact investors. And so when we talk about these things, it's not just theory, it is practical in terms of exactly what you need to do to get there. Yeah.
So, Joram, I just heard you say there are two things you have mentioned, maybe just for, number one, you have not told the whole world a secret. The best kept secret, you have just told the whole world. The best kept secret is that you just told. So I hope if you're on this call now, you know our secret, and please go share with other people that there's a secret called ISBI Strathmore, and let me tell you, they are the best. But number two, there's something you said about empathy. And do you think that as a founder, because I know between you and Doreen, you're the one who's been a founder for all of 5 minutes, while Doreen it's been 2 minutes for, but do you think empathy is a really important aspect to have as a founder? And not just, sometimes we say that you are your harshest critic, even to yourself. Do you think empathy is a really important
I think it's important because this journey of entrepreneurship is very difficult. Every day you're dealing with problems you had not anticipated. And it can become overwhelming at times. Sometimes you just need someone to listen to your problems, and just by explaining what those problems are, you feel better at the end of the day, and you realize, okay, maybe it's not as bad as we thought. And sometimes you get into a problem where, for example, KRA comes and knocks on your door, and then you panic because you're like, are they going to shut down my business? Sometimes it's that email of your account has been put on hold because KRA is saying they are claiming some things from you. And sometimes if you panic and you don't have an expert helping you, you might actually end up paying taxes you're not supposed to pay, for example, because, the tax laws are structured in a way that there's a lot of tax incentives. Sometimes how you do your accounting, you can be able to legally reduce the amount of tax that you're paying. How you structure, your internal compensation and things like, health insurance and these kinds of things. There's a lot of complicated things that happen in that particular space. So just having somebody who tells you, it's going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. You can go through this. Don't fear these people who are coming to threaten your business. There's actually legal ways of being able to address them. And so when you hear that, other people have been through the same challenges as you and successfully overcome those challenges. In fact, many times when you see in the media a business is in trouble, is because there's something they were ignoring along the way and they did not address it. And that's how they end up in that trouble, because it's something they've just been sweeping under the carpet rather than facing it head on. And you'd be surprised. In many of these places, you can walk in confidently with a plan. They will legally give you a way of, sorting out these kind of issues. And so you don't have to be afraid of this journey of entrepreneurship. There are many of us who've been through it, and a lot of them are experts, in this particular space that we are talking about. If you go to ISBI, you'll find people who can educate you when they have seen a lot of businesses that they've helped through the process of just acquiring that knowledge. Or you come to Sandbox and you find experts who can help you structure these things and sort out your issues. And so you don't have to be afraid, and you don't have to feel like there's no help, that I need to shut down my business, or, this is too much, I cannot handle it. All these problems are very resolvable. And just having people who can reassure you is where the empathy comes in. And they tell you your situation is not really as bad as you think it is. There's help. There's definitely a lot of help, and a lot of people don't know that help is there. So they end up in very frustrating situations, mental health issues, and this kind of thing. But we have people here who can help you just put all these things in place, build a very well-structured business. Like myself, I can go away for weeks without getting a call or even being called to approve even a payment or something of a sort. And this is possible. That's why I was saying It's not rocket science to build a well-functioning, well-oiled business. And then a business that is structured very well then becomes a magnet for whether it's financing or investors or even customers that want to work with you. Big companies want to work with you because they know that you can deliver on the big deals that they'll be able to give you. And so there's definitely a lot of benefit in just building a well-structured business. We always say our goal is to get your business to the place it can operate without you, but still make money. And many businesses do that around the world. It is not impossible to get your business to that place.
Me, I'm starting to think Joram should have his own podcast because it's a lot, but I'm starting to also suspect he works for KRA or he's been sent as a person, but tutaonana nyuma ya tent. So me, I've just had, first of all, empathy, support system or community, and most importantly, we are doing this together. We are not doing this alone. So now comes the lady who helps us get the money, Doreen. So we need to go to school, we need to learn a little, then we need to go to Joram's school, it's called Sandbox, and get to the experts, talk to people, don't be alone, because again, this thing is for group work. The way we used to say in school, degree in group work. At this point, it's feeling like entrepreneurship is also group work. So Doreen, how is Insight Hub actually now? Once I've gone to school, let's say I'm the founder of avocado.com. I have gone to ISBI, I've taken the courses that Christine was talking about. Then I feel like, hey, okay, I need help now, advice. I've gone to Sandbox, I've found the tax guy, I found marketing. Now, do you think I'm ready to come to you for you to help me get money?
Absolutely. And the thing is, sometimes some people here might be feeling, intimidated. Oh my gosh, there's so many things I need to have in place before I get funding. Over the last 7 years, the funding landscape has really morphed. 10 years ago, we only had, or rather, let's say 30 years ago, we only had banks. So the only way the only place you're able to get money was a bank. And then 20 years ago, there's a group of people called private equity funds that came into the market. And then 10 years ago, we had a new group of people called venture capital that came into the market. And around that time, there were some people who called themselves accelerator hubs and venture studios who came into the market. So just to be clear, you don't have to have everything figured out. There are funders at each stage where you are, at each stage of where you are in your business. So what we do at Insight Hub, and Insight Hub is pivoting, but I'll talk about that at the end. What we do is we look at businesses. So we look from the funder's perspective. Like I said, there are various funders, and different funders are looking for different things. Some funders require you to be profitable. There are some funders who don't care that you're profitable. They just care that you have the capacity to scale. You have the capability to scale. So that's what they're interested in, businesses that can scale and businesses that are creating impact. So the question is, you might be a business that you think you can scale. You might not be profitable, but you think you can create impact. What we do at Insight Hub is we help you package that. And so sometimes someone can, so for example, someone can fund a business that your impact is you create jobs. However, if you're only adding 5 jobs a year to your business, your impact is not really creating jobs. So you need to be very clear about how to position yourself. So what Insight Hub does, basically, we look at African SMEs. We see who is well positioned to get capital, and then we connect them to the capital providers. But then we also don't stop there. For those of you who are not ready to get capital, we sit and we tell you, this is what you need to do to get funding money. You might not be able to get funding money now, but if you do A, B, C, D, E, then you're able to get funding money. So we work with African SMEs. We do the intelligence layer where we see where you are as a business. We analyze whether you're ready for capital or not. And then we tell you what you need to do to get capital if you're not ready. And then we tell you who can fund you if you are ready. And then we do funder match, which means we connect you with the right funders and with the aim of connecting you finally to capital.
Okay, thanks, Doreen. So now we have understood that this is the options that are available. Me as Wendy in avocado.com, my options are Niende Shule. I go see Joram and his friends over at Sandbox. Then I go find Doreen, for her to help me figure out my mathematics of where can I get money. I might just go back to my mom and borrow money. So there are 4 categories of entrepreneurs here, and we'll talk about them. So You know, when you think about where you are, and you'll hear us say three terms. You'll hear us say Njoki, Marwa, and Mumbua. So bear those three terms in mind: Njoki, Marwa, and Mumbua. So you'll hear us say that a lot. But I want to just jump over to Doreen. When we say stage one, who is this founder and what are their options? And this applies to even for Christine from an education perspective, and to Joram from a sandbox perspective. Who is this option one? Like at stage one, what are my options as Wendy, who is in avocado.com?
Okay, so Wendy, who's at avocado.com, is still in idea phase. It means that she has this great idea. She feels that she's going to be the best avocado seller in the next 3 years, but she's still thinking through her product. Or maybe she's thought through her product, but she's still not yet understood her market. Or maybe she's understood her market, but she's still not yet started taking her product to the market. So stage one is pre-revenue businesses, or you've just started earning revenue. So you're still very early stages of earning revenue. You've not really built your clientele. You're still trying to figure yourself out in the market. So your idea, maybe you're in the market, but you're still not getting steady sales. That is a stage one business. And so I think, Wendy, if we can ask the audience by putting out a poll of the people, of the 40 of you that are in the audience, how many of you would describe your business as in phase one? And some of us have multiple businesses. So maybe there's someone here who has 3 businesses and then they have a business in phase one, in stage one. So if you could just put out a poll, Wendy, and then we can just
going up in a minute.
See how many of us are in this stage. And as Wendy is putting out the poll, what things do you need to think about at this stage? I'll be honest and say the hardest stage to raise capital is this particular stage, because number one, I don't know if you're able to do what it is that you're going to say that you're going to do. I don't know if so imagine you're pitching to a funder an idea. Number one, I don't know if you're able to execute it. It might be a great idea, but are you the right person to execute this idea? Number two, because you've not done it, how do I know that the business is going to grow the way you're saying it's going to grow? Avocado.com, what are you doing that's different from other avocado providers? How exactly are you going to showcase that you're able to give me back my money? You see, so if you're an equity funder, you're looking at shares of the business. It's even hard to value a business that has never made any money. How many shares of your business do you give when you've never made any money? You don't even know if your business is going to make any money. How many shares of your business do you give? Or if it's debt, it's very hard to get debt at this point because you don't know how much money you're going to make. You don't even know if you're going to be profitable. Few businesses are profitable in the first year. If you have a business that was profitable in the first year, well done. Most businesses struggle to be profitable in the first year, and that is very normal. It's normal. It doesn't, profitability in the first 3 years does not determine your success. If you look at Amazon, guess how many years, Wendy, it took Amazon to be profitable? Take a guess.
21.
Hello, sorry,
21.
to say that again.
21.
Exactly. How many years did it take Uber to be profitable? How many years did it take Netflix to be profitable? Oh, none of them are below the age of 5. How long did it take for Bolt to be profitable? It takes many years for a business to be profitable. Anyway, that's not the point. So at this stage, who is able to fund you at this stage? There are few people that are able to fund you. Your best bet at this stage is friends. And I hate to use this term, but it's a commonly used term. It's friends, families, and friends, family, and fools. Those are the ones who are going to fund you at this stage because they believe in you. It's such a harsh term, but it's used a lot in the capital raising community. So it's no offense to anybody. Don't take it personally. It's just the way it is. So friends, family, and fools, those are the ones who are going to fund you. And I'll give myself an example. I first started a business in 2016. I got money from family. That business sank so fast, Wendy. I mean, before you could even blink, that business went belly up. It went belly up very fast. So thank God the people who funded me were family. I mean, you can't throw me away. You can't take me to court. What's the worst you can do? Stop inviting me for family events. you know. So these are the people who, because they oh, Wendy's nodding, yes, I'd stop inviting you to my family events if you lost my money. But that's just you know, those are the people who will typically fund businesses at this stage. But then also there are a group of people called venture studios. So venture studios typically would look at businesses that are looking to solve big problems in Africa. So if you have an idea, let's say you have an idea to solve water problems in Turkana, you know, and you have this fantastic technology or whatever it is that's able to solve water problems in Turkana, maybe they'll fund you for something like that. But you have to be solving like a big problem. But you just need a lot of capital injection to go into your business. So there are impact funders who have entities called venture studios who fund that. You also have accelerator hubs. So for example, if you're able to say, like I have one of the ladies who got funded recently was able to showcase that she's able to ensure that coffee farmers you know, across sub-Saharan Africa can get paid on time. That's a big problem for those of us who don't know. Coffee farmers sometimes have to wait 30, 60 days. And this is someone in Ushago, you know, they can't afford to wait 30, 60 days to get paid. You know, it's these are low income earners, you know, they need to get money quickly. And so if you're able to showcase that, look, I've built a system whereby coffee farmers are able to get funding on time, then, you know, you're able to get funding. But just to reiterate, this is a very difficult stage to get funding, but it is not impossible. It is not impossible. You can get funding if you're targeting the right person. What I'd say is, even at this stage, put together a pitch deck. Just pitch deck, think through your ideas. And I'm happy at the end of this session, there'll be a WhatsApp number that you'll be able to just reach out with your business idea, and we'll direct you to the right place to go. Even if you're still in idea phase, put together a pitch deck, think through your numbers. How much is your business going to make? Think through your pitch deck. You know, how am I going to position my business in the market? It's still very important to do that at this stage.
Okay, so first of all, you said that getting money at this stage is from fools, friends, and family. Whoever it's called being the fool, I don't know who they are, because are we saying, I don't know who they are, but sure, great for them. But to Trish and Joram, to Christine or Trish and Joram, what interventions are we offering to the entrepreneur at this stage? Remember, they just have an idea. So can I come to school? Do I come to Sandbox? And let's keep it very brief, because time is also not on our side. So let's keep it very brief. So what interventions are we offering to this entrepreneur who is currently in phase 1?
Thank you, Wendy. At this stage, and I think Christina will agree with me, the programs that we have for this entrepreneur at this stage fall within what we call our CBID programs. Those are the programs that really help the entrepreneurs start the journey. It's your start to business, and what we do is we now walk through the journey with you. And the programs that we run are short 6-week programs with 4 different levels to really get you ready for your next growth phase. So we'll share a little bit more, I think, a little bit later on.
Okay, so 6 weeks. I'm just in class for 6 weeks.
1 level.
Okay. Also, 1 level is 6 weeks. So if it is 4 different levels, that's 24 weeks I'm in school. Yo. I'm not ready. Joram?
We are thorough.
Yeah. And maybe the one thing I would say is, I think a lot more entrepreneurs should probably go through those 6 weeks and the like, because what it can end up doing is saving you a lot of money. We've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, maybe they've just gotten a windfall of money, or they've gotten somebody willing to invest in their business and that kind of thing. And like Doreen shared, you pour a lot of money and time and effort into trying to get this business up and running, and then you completely fail. And so these processes, like what Strathmore is talking about with their 6-week program, get you started thinking through business principles, because businesses work because of certain principles. You have to get your solution for your customer right. You have to get your, pricing right to start to give a sense, can this business succeed? You have to get your customer right. People start a business and think every customer is my business. No, it's not true. There are certain people who will gravitate towards your business at the beginning, who are going to be your early adopters, and then those are the people who will give you feedback that helps you improve your product or service, and then you get other customers coming down the line. And so these early stages are important. At Sandbox, we have a startup expert who has something called the Day Zero, where they can actually help you practically just put all these things in place. And so when you have the knowledge that you've refined your idea through, you can also get somebody just hand-holding you through as you go talk to customers, as you're preparing the business. Maybe you're building a technology product. Maybe you actually have a physical product. Maybe you're doing something like agriculture. One of the things that surprises me about agriculture in this country is that people just do what they've had their friend doing, and hearing that it has money, and that is not always the case. Sometimes you're just planting something just before the glut season comes in, when everyone is harvesting at the same time, and so you're stuck with a product that ends up going nowhere. And so, yeah, when you come to the startup expert here, they're just able to help you think through how you set up that business. Sometimes people register and spend a lot of money registering and doing a lot of things that sink a lot of money, and maybe the business idea was not really going to work. And so we can help you think through, even pivot the idea towards something that might work a lot better than where you're starting. The journey of entrepreneurship, let me tell you, you will fail and learn a lot in this initial stage. I think the official statistics, and this is a global statistic, is that actually 90% of businesses that are set up fail within the first year. And so it's nothing unique to you, if you're failing, but if you want to improve that rate and be part of the 10% that succeed, just get people who help you think through your business model, think through your product, think through your customer, your pricing. How do you approach those customers so that they're able to, take up your product? And then how do you create momentum so that you get other customers that now help your business start the journey towards being profitable? Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much, Joram. And I'm hearing a lot of friends, family, and fools in this discussion. So our stage 2 is proof of concept and early growth. And we will call this Njoki. So for context, I will give a small POV into who Njoki is. So what you're seeing on the screen is just a summary of who Njoki is. But ideally, Njoki she's been running her business for about 4 years now, and her business goals are to increase revenue, to enhance her brand awareness, and to optimize operations. But she has 506 problems in this business. Number 1 is cash flow. Number 2 is systems. Number 3 is staffing. Number 4 is access to capital, which is why we're here. Scaling challenges, navigating existing industry regulations, technology, and market access. And we've mentioned so many of them. So what interventions exist between the three of you as capital, advisory, and education? What interventions exist? And I'll start with Christine, then Joram, then Doreen, and we'll keep it under less than two minutes. 2 minutes per, because we still have 2 more categories to go through. So we'll keep it under that. And I'll ask our participants, please make sure you use the chat feature, just the Q&A feature, to ask any questions you may have. The team will pick them up. So Christine or Trish, over to you.
Thank you, Wendy. And Njoki is the entrepreneur who we love, because Njoki is the entrepreneur that has an opportunity to now come and partner with us and join our Advanced Entrepreneurship Program. So the Advanced Entrepreneurship Program is our flagship program. And the entrepreneur we need is exactly who Njoki is. The reason is, like you mentioned, at this stage, Njoki has 1,001 problems, and we have 1,001 opportunities for her to address those problems. So at this stage, you'll find that entrepreneurs have already gone past the proof of concept and are now looking to grow. So what this means for us is we have an opportunity to take them through the core elements of their business. And how we do this is we do this in a 17-week program where Njoki has an opportunity to come to us once a week from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we take her through very key modules, such as the mindset of an entrepreneur. That's really where we kick her off. So what we are looking at is like what what Doreen mentioned. What does it need for Njoki to stop dipping into the company coffers and actually have her as the business owner stand as a different entity from the business itself? So mindset is a key thing that we kick off with. Beyond that, what we then look at as well is what is the strategy that Njoki has? What is her plan in terms of actually growing the business? Does she have a sustainable, competitive plan to ensure that as she is growing, she is able to address the finance needs, the marketing needs, and all other needs that are core to business? So what we do for that is we take our entrepreneur through a strategy program for 3 sessions. They'll go through a finance section where they get a chance to look at areas such as, is profit and revenue the same thing? And how is it that you can be profitable and yet have no cash flow? So what we are looking at is helping Njoki understand what it means to address some of these core elements that investors would need answered. So our goal within the Advanced Entrepreneurship Program is to really help the entrepreneur create systems and structures that allow them to accelerate in terms of growth, so that by the time they get to Sandbox, they are looking to refine whatever it is that needs addressing so that they can go to Doreen and get some cash. So the main thing on our end in relation to the Advanced Entrepreneurship Program is to really support the entrepreneur through ESG, law and tax, marketing, finance, employee management, investment and banking, all the basics that are required to set them up for acceleration. That's the summary of it all.
I love that you guys have already said that Njoki is your favorite. You guys already have a favorite. Kudos to you guys. Joram, over to you with all of 2 seconds. What are the interventions that exist at Sandbox for Njoki at this stage?
Okay, so this is usually the stage where your business, is beginning to accelerate in terms of growth. And so this is where, like I mentioned, the business starts to grow beyond you. And as you look into those things of, what are your financials looking like, you find that this is a place you need to start putting systems in place. You need to start hiring the right people that can help your business to grow. You'll be surprised how hard hiring is. The right people that fit into the right roles that can help your business, grow. This is a place you start to document processes, because you're not doing things yourself as an entrepreneur. There's a way you do it in your head that, drives the kind of quality that you want. But when you're working with other people, you have to define for them what those processes are like. And so this is where we start to put in those systems. Sometimes this is where you also need technology and you're not sure, do I get an ERP? Do I get a CRM? Do I get all these things to manage my sales, to manage my, technology? Do I get onto Google versus Microsoft versus an open source solution or Zoho? There are all these questions about, what type of tools are useful at this stage. And this is where we walk alongside you to just figure out where you can start. These things are costed differently. And so you're able to make the right decisions that you can afford at this stage and plug in the right things that don't hamper growth, because sometimes you find people over-investing in this particular stage, and then you end up, the business becomes too heavy to not nimble enough to grow. So those are the decisions that we can help you to make and plug in just the right things that help you have these kind of systems in place and the right people.
Okay, thanks so much, Joram. And as Doreen comes on board, there's a poll that's been running. So I want to share the results for the first poll that we did. And the first poll that we did, how many of you guys think you're in phase 1? And unfortunately, I don't know how we see it, is that actually 59% of the people on the call think they're actually in phase 1, with 4% saying they're not sure, and 36% saying that they are not in phase 1. So let's go to phase 2 now, what we are discussing right now. And a majority of you don't think you're in phase 2. And it begs the question of why? Why are you not in phase 2? Or what would it take to get you to phase 2? With 10% saying they're not sure, 60% saying no, and 26% saying yes. So Doreen, what are the funding options that exist for Njoki here? 1.5 minutes.
All right. So it's now, so it's easier to get funding, of course, in stage 2 than it is in stage 1. But now it's the second hardest stage to fund. And I'll tell you why it's the second hardest stage to fund. It's because you don't have systems and structures yet. And that's why it's very critical for our business to start putting together systems and structures. Because when a funder puts money into your business, they don't want to risk essentially they're putting their money into you because you are the business, and it's very normal for the founder to be the business at this stage, but you being the business poses a risk to a funder because people are unpredictable and people are erratic in behavior. However, if you have systems and structures in your business that are consistent, this is what gives funders confidence. It is, what do you have that is consistent? Is your staff consistent? You know, are your sales consistent? Are your expenses consistent? They like consistency, especially debt funders. All funders like consistency. What's consistent about your business? And sometimes when you're the person who's driving the business, if you're sick, it means that the business doesn't, nothing happens in the business. And so what I'd say, there are funders at this stage of your business. They're not as many, but they are looking for people who are now looking to input systems and structures to ensure that their business is able to maintain consistent growth, consistent expenditure.
So let me ask something, maybe just Doreen. At this stage, is it possible for me to get a grant as avocado.com? And this is where I am. Can I get a grant?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It depends on what is your impact. What's your story? At avocado, there are many avocado farmers. Everybody will like Joram said, avocado, everybody's like, this guy made money in avocado. Let me now do avocado. So Kenyans, unfortunately, we are very good piggyback entrepreneurs in the sense that you piggyback off someone else's idea. And so what impact are you creating? If you're able to say that, look, I am going to empower 3,000 farmers to grow avocado, and then I'll buy from these 3,000 farmers, then you become an impact person. But then also, anyway, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, you need to show that you're able to impact the community that you live in.
Okay, so now there is stage 3, and I have a feeling I know whose favorite this is, and I want us to think of stage 3 as this guy in stage 3 is called Marwa. So Marwa is really working hard, and Marwa is trying to make sure that the business actually works. So for context, Marwa is growth-oriented and is looking for opportunities for long-term growth. He values solutions on scalability and efficiency, and he wants to improve retention rates, increase his revenue streams, and sustainable growth. So Marwa has problems, not as many as Njoki's problems, but his pain points are that, number 1, resource allocation is a challenge, technology integration is a problem, workforce retention is another problem, data management and analytics is another problem, scaling is another problem, and lastly, flexibility and adaptability is another pain point. So he has quite grown problems, if we could put them that way. So what interventions exist? Like what can we do for this pathway? What can we do for Marwa? And I want to start with Joram, then Doreen, then Trish. So what can we do for 90 seconds we move?
Yeah, so Marwa has done certain things right to get to this stage. You don't get to a business that's making this kind of money if you've not had a good product, clients wanting your product in large numbers, and that's how the business, starts to grow and scale to this level. And scale just means that you're able to grow beyond your primary, like say if you started in Nairobi, maybe the business is going countrywide. Sometimes it's going into other countries as well. And so you find that Marwa can't be everywhere. So Marwa needs to have really put those systems in place that we talked about in the previous stage. But this is where the business also begins to become a bit dangerous to the entrepreneur themselves, because when you have these kinds of monies going through your account, if you've not been able to differentiate between profit and revenue, You can start to spend money where it is not. I see a lot of Kenyans make a lot of mistakes at this stage because they think, oh, my business is making a lot of money now. I can go and buy that house. I can go and buy that Range Rover. I can go and, do all these kinds of things. And sometimes you're doing it with other people's money and you're not even realizing that you're running out of that money to grow to the next stage. So this is where it starts to become important first to get even not just employees, but managers, people who are really specialized at what they do. You need like a good finance manager, probably a good person to handle sales and marketing, people who can have the skills to actually manage and run a big company. And this is also the stage where the thing that I see entrepreneurs fearing the most in terms of governance comes in. People fear having a board and exposing their financials and these kind of things to people outside of the business. But you find that if you select the right people, especially those who have experience running bigger businesses, they are able to help you think through what are these structures that we need, what's the technology we need to put in place at this stage, what are the kind of people we need to recruit so that they beef up the management capacity of the team, what controls do we need in place, and audits. Sometimes people think audits are for the banks and the financiers. They are also for yourself, because people could be stealing from you and you don't know that it's actually happening. And so you need all these systems that can send quick signals to you that something is going wrong, so that you're able to look at your records and you can be able to tell, we were making 2.5 million for the last 5 months on average, but suddenly it has dropped to 1.2. What is going on? There's something that must be happening, and you're able to take quick action to remedy whatever it is that is happening. And of course, even as a business gets bigger, it is now vulnerable to announcements that the government makes. They come out and say fuel has gone from 170 to 200 and 10 or something, and that impacts your costs. And so you have to quickly get together with your management team to make some decisions that whether it's you're changing your pricing or you're reducing costs or these kinds of things. And so those again are things that our experts can help you to think through.
Okay, thank you so much, Joram. I feel like you're telling us your story, lived experience. Sidri, I'm not sure if it is true. I'm just assuming because it's coming so naturally. I'm going to assume it's a lived experience, and you're just here to tell us don't make the same mistakes. But there's something you mentioned that it's at this stage that the entrepreneur becomes a hazard. Are you saying that it is at this stage where the business could die?
But if you see a lot of businesses that have actually collapsed at the growth stage, it is because some of the things I mentioned are lacking. There's no one to do checks and balances on the entrepreneur so they can spend the way they want. Sometimes someone thinks, let me just take out 5 million and quickly put it in this deal, and then it's going to bring back 6 million and I'll put the money back. And then the deal doesn't go as planned, and you find the business now gets into some kind of trouble. So people make those kinds of mistakes when they're alone, but when they know somebody is, overseeing what it is that they are doing, they are less likely to make these kinds of decisions. And so, yes, it's very easy for the entrepreneur to become a danger to their business when they are unchecked, when they have no controls, when they do not know how the spending and approvals are being done internally. But when you put some of these structures in place, I mean, you can see big companies, they set up a branch and they're able to run without the founder being present. And so that the question is, what are those things that the business has that is able to tell them there are problems going on in the business that need to be fixed, and they're able to make decisions that can enable the business to grow.
Okay, Doreen, over to Doreen, and then Trish. So at this point, where am I getting money and what do I need to do? 90 seconds, not 180, 90 seconds.
Okay, so in this phase, it's much easier to get money, but it's only easy to get money if you've built now proper systems and structures. By the time you're making between 1 million to 15 million, it means that you've already started hiring staff. You already have some systems in place. You have systems for sales. Your sales process is consistent. Maybe it's digital marketing or your staff, your customer sales, your operations. There should be some level of consistency that you've built at this phase, which means that it's easier for a funder to back you, because now there are systems that can exist, hopefully outside of you. Maybe not necessarily, you may not be able to go for a holiday for 3 months, but you're getting to that place where you would like to go to a holiday for 3 months. At this stage, hopefully your business will be profitable or close to profitability. And so you're able to take out a bank loan, or you're able to take out debt. At this stage, you've already understood the market, you've made your mistakes. And that's why funders find it hard to fund stage 1 and 2, because the business is about growth. If we all knew how business was going to turn out, we'd all be successful. But the reason why 90% of people fail, because this thing is very difficult. It's a difficult thing to do. And so if you're able to make it to this stage, then there's additional confidence from funders. And so yes, it's very possible to get funding from local funders, from venture capital funds, typically, and smaller private equity funds are likely to fund you at this phase.
Okay. Trish, over to you. First of all, because you already declared, is this also a favorite for you? Ama unamwangalia na macho ya kind of like, oh, I'm not so sure, but I can take you.
Well, what I can say is that within this particular phase, our main interest as ISBI is for the entrepreneur who's just entered this phase, because those are the ones who are in the position for us to support fully. Nevertheless, what is important on our end is we operate within an ecosystem. And within this ecosystem, we have the big backer, which is Strathmore University Business School. So the way Joram mentioned this aspect of governance, we have several programs within the business school that address these issues, because it is quite true. This is the time where easily it's a do or die. And unfortunately, for a lot of entrepreneurs, this is where they lose it once they see the multiple zeros in the bank account. So we are able to support Marwa at the very beginning of this phase, and then we hand them over to Strathmore University for the rest.
Hey, me, it's giving. It means that once I grow and become avocado famous, I should not be confused by the zeros in the bank. I should go back and say, guys, I have zeros in the bank now. It's time for us to continue. Then
Time
now
to
these
invest
numbers.
in yourself, for sure, even further.
It's now number 4. So now we have grown, like now we have grown significantly, like crazy. Remember, we are now at regional, how much we're making and all that. So the person in this category, and I think she is called Mumbua. So Mumbua has moved, she's risen from Njoki, she's become Marwa. She's like, I think it is time. Like Mimi, I am done. So now she's very passionate about disruptive methodologies on how to run business. She's always on the lookout for the next big thing. Like her, she's very chap, like we need to move quickly. And her goals are ESG, market expansion, products and innovation and development. But now she has problems. Like any other entrepreneur, she has problems. And her number one pain point is resistance to change and keeping up with technological advances, market volatility, maintaining a competitive advantage, regulatory compliance, talent acquisition, and retention. So you remember, Marwa, it was workforce. Now this one is talent. I think those are two different things. And I wish we had a HR in this call to tell us the difference. But now it is for talent. Now she's looking for the best of the best in the industry to actually work with her. So Doreen, in the order, I think Trish will just start with you. Is there space for him, or are you transferring him to SBS? Are you transferring Mumbua to SBS?
Sorry, I just missed the question. Could you kindly repeat?
So I'm saying, so now that Mumbua has grown, she's like, she's in the 100 million, she's global expansion, but her pain points are, she still has 2 problems here and there. Is there space for her? Ama, you're now sending her directly to SBS and telling her, hey, unfortunately, you can't fit in my nursery school. You need to go to primary school up there, like, in the big school.
Ultimately, there'll always be space because, like we mentioned, the key element of growing business really is the mindset and stage at which the entrepreneur is beyond the money. In some cases, you can have the multiple zeros, but then in terms of the systems and structures that are required, you may not have reached the level that is necessary for you to thrive in these other phases. So we'll always take entrepreneurs who require that foundational knowledge, and we will walk the journey with them. And when they feel good and ready, then we can do the handover.
Okay. Joram, do you have space for Mumbua at Sandbox? Like, is there hope for her? Like, can someone hold her hand? Now the one who now becomes the expert. Like, what is the Mumbua now at Sandbox?
Yeah. So definitely, yes, we handhold people thinking through regional or global expansion. One of the most exciting things about my career is that I've actually worked with businesses that have gone from they were just operating in Nairobi to the whole of Kenya, start to open like an office in Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, then skip over to West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal type of thing. And so definitely what tends to happen here is that you have a product or service that is not just relevant for your local market, but you realize that problem is Pan-African. Sometimes that problem is even global, like you go to South America, Asia, and that kind of thing, and you find that they are maybe using similar systems. So it's a fintech, and maybe the same problem exists there, and you're able to do that. Very few businesses make it to this level. Sometimes they make it to this level because they've been around for a long time. They've just kept growing and growing and growing. And maybe they did some of the things right that they ended up there. And then there's a lot of Africans who don't actually think they can build a business like this. It is very possible. I mentioned we have partnerships in 13 countries that are allowing us to scale our solution to the same place. And we can also help businesses that are looking for local partners. We always hear our partners saying, something similar is required, or we have a client from South Africa that wants to come into Kenya, or vice versa. So we are able to match them to experts who can help them understand that local market and basically set up right from the beginning, because sometimes the problem you're solving might also exist in that other market, but the culture is different, the religion is different, the operating environment is different. Maybe it's not so friendly to outsiders. Like I'm sure you've had a lot of stories of South African companies trying to come into Kenya and then they don't succeed, or Kenyan businesses trying to go into Nigeria and they really struggle to take off there. So definitely there's things you can do that enable you to have a smoother entry into those markets. And yes, we can definitely handhold people who are considering this. We've helped some companies, access the US markets because they have a product that is required there, or somebody who's looking to maybe go into the UK or something like that. So it is definitely possible, and the handholding can happen so that you don't do it in a way that you lose a lot of money or start off with the wrong partners in that country or the wrong employees, or that kind of thing, because those things can really impact how your business ends up operating at that level. Yeah.
Okay. Doreen, is there money? Like, is there any more money you can? These guys have already made so much money. Like, do they need more money?
I know it's a catch-22. When your business finally starts making proper money, that's when people actually want to fund you, as opposed to when you really needed the funding at the beginning. So this is the easiest stage to get funding when you're ready to scale, because you're at low. You pose the lowest risk of the 4 categories. You understand your market. You understand you've gone through you've made your mistakes. You've made your mistakes, and more importantly, you survived your mistakes. And not only have you survived your mistakes, you've actually grown. You've grown in spite of all the harsh climate that is sub-Saharan business. Doing business across sub-Saharan Africa is one of the hardest places to run a business. The fact that you survived to this stage means that you've done a really good job, and it's easiest to get funding at this stage. In fact, at this stage, you don't even need an advisor like Doreen Zaki to help you get funding. The funders actually come out to look for you to fund your business.
Okay, so I can see we'll be over time by a few minutes, and I just want to take a few questions from the chat. I know some of them our speakers have responded to, but there's one more question. I think this question is addressed to Joram. For those who've run proof of concept pilots that involve collecting user data, how do you navigate ethics and regulatory approvals? Is approvals from bodies like National Commission of Science and Technology and Innovation, NACOSTI, always required? Or are there alternative pathways such as institutional ethic review boards, partner institution approvals, or other mechanisms that are appropriate depending on the nature and purpose of the pilots?
So I'd say this is highly dependent on the kind of product or service that you're building. There are some industries that are very regulated, like healthcare, things like aviation, or things like scientific products that could have an impact on the safety of the customers that are going to use it, maybe food products. So you'll find that each of these categories have a regulator that you might need to get approvals for, even to collect data and the ethics around how you collect that data. And I do know that in Kenya, yes, you need to get like a research approval for products like those. But if it's something that's on a much smaller scale where you're maybe just collecting data from like 10, 20 people as you start, and it's a product that is not heavily regulated, those are things you can just go ahead and get started. And you do not need the approvals of some of the institutions that I talked about. Of course, there are other things to take into account. If it's a product that's going to end up getting patented, where you need some kind of intellectual property protection, or you need quality standards from someone like Kenya Bureau of Standards, or if it's an agricultural product, there's an organization called KEFIS. So you might have to go through all this. So it is really dependent on the industry you're in, that determines what kind of approvals you need as you do the research, or even as you create the product or take it to market. So some require approvals, but for many that are non-scientific or non-health related or regulatory related, you could just go ahead and get started on that, and do your what is called a minimum viable product, get some customers using it, and then you improve the product as you go along.
Okay, thank you so much, Joram. And I know some of the questions have been answered in the chat by the rest of our speakers. I don't know if there are any other questions just before we close. If you still have any other questions, please put them in the question and answer section, and we'll try and make sure all of them are answered. So there's a triage tool coming at the end of this, just as we wrap up the session, just for you to fill in, and it will be sent as a follow-up email as well. After this call. But as a parting shot, what should we do next? Like me as Wendy with my avocados and co, with following the trend that farming will make me money and I don't need to be confused by all the dollars in the bank. What next? Like what are we saying? What do we need our entrepreneurs to actually do next? And I think we'll start with Doreen, then Christine, and then Joram.
So the next stage on what an entrepreneur needs to do next depends on what stage they're at. It depends on the sector that their business is in. It depends on what it is exactly that they need. And so it's very hard to answer that question without getting more details or more insight into the stage of the various businesses. So I'd encourage anyone who wants to learn more about funding to just reach out to Insight Hub Africa. You can send an email to info@insighthub.africa, or you can send a WhatsApp message to the number that's on the screen.
Okay, Christine.
I believe a good next step would be for everyone to click on that link we will share to the Triage tool, because that tool, in a few very short, very brief questions, it's literally not going to take more than 2 minutes. It will give you an overview of where, in our opinion, you would fit best at the stage you're at, whether you should go to training, education, so that would be us, ISBI, whether you basically have the most important systems in place already, you have 2-3 specific issues you still want to work on before you start the funding journey, then that would be Sandbox. Or if your business in reality is already at a stage where it is organized enough that it makes sense for you to seek funding, which then would send you to Doreen directly. So I believe the Triage tool, the link we will share, is a great next step for you to get an overview, an idea of where we believe you would fit best in this pathway to funding journey.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine. Joram?
So I'd say I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs having the mindset, I can do this alone, I can figure it out all on my own. I'll tell you, even the biggest companies still use experts and consultants to figure out very specialized things that they need to figure out that helps their business go. Even if you're Apple, they work with people who just look at their business from the outside. And so not like any entrepreneur to feel like they are lonely or they are alone in this journey, as whether they are figuring out their idea, whether their business is just beginning to grow, whether they are scaling, or whether they're in the large stage. Just if you've hit a roadblock, just know that there is help that can help you streamline and do a lot better. And so, yeah, there are people who can help you put those structures in place at a cost that you can afford. And there are many sometimes there are programs that we have that also sponsor people through different stages of business, because there are people who just want to help, especially entrepreneurs who've made it big. They like to help other entrepreneurs, go through their business journey. So I'd say, like the others have said, just reach out. Do fill in the Triage tool. That's like going to the hospital and getting a quick check to say, is this pain I'm feeling a big thing that requires surgery, or is it just something that can be sorted out easily and my life is back on track? And so this tool would help you just get a bit more insight. And also, if you have other friends out there who are running businesses that were not able to join this, just make sure you're also able to share with them that there is help for them amongst this group that can help them either access funding, get the education that they need to put a practical business in place, or to also set the systems in place for their businesses.
Okay, thank you so much, Joram. And I know we have eaten into people's time by 8 minutes. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for giving us your time. It is very late currently, but I want to say thank you so much. I hope you have taken something away from this session. I know me and my avocados are about to have a very long chat between us, me and the farm. But mine is to say thank you so much. The recording for this webinar will be shared once it's ready. And the link to the Triage Tool is currently in the Q&A section, but we will make sure that it is available to you for you to actually use. If you do have questions, we'll share all the contact details of all the partners on this call. They'll be shared on email as well with you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. You can as well just find your way into Strathmore. They are Pale Madaraka, if I'm not wrong, Christine and Trish. And you can just find your way and say, I am here to go to ISBI and I'd like to see Trish or Christine, and someone will be able to help you. If you'd like to visit us at the Sandbox, we are currently at CMS Africa House on Chania Avenue on the ground floor. The phone number is on the screen. And if you come to Sandbox, you'll also find Doreen here because she's our resident expert at the Sandbox. So mine is to say thank you so much and have a lovely night, and we will see you at the next session. Asanteni sana and good night.